REVOLT Summit 2022. Get ready to hear never-before-heard stories and catch gems dropped by legends in our culture. It's me, Fly Guy DC.
It's your girl, Pretty V, and welcome to the 2022 REVOLT Summit by AT&T. I'm blessed, I'm black, and I'm beautiful, and I'm ready to turn up and gain some knowledge. What's up, DC?
Absolutely right. So listen, that's right. All this top knowledge program is designed with you in mind, yes. And if you want to get in the game, or if you are already in the game, you want to elevate your skills, you want to elevate your mental, you want to elevate your brand and make your brand bigger than life, well, guess what? This is your chance to do it because everything you need to know and network with is right here, okay? But Pretty V, are you okay?
I'm good. Let's get it.
Welcome to the REVOLT Summit, presented by AT&T. Well, I'm excited to take you through our vision for the future of Revolt, which is anchored in building the largest global cross-cultural platform ecosystem for black creators. How many black creators do we have in the room? Before we go into the future, we're gonna take a quick little step into the past. When our chairman, Sean Diddy Combs, launched this network in 2013, it was the first multi-platform network, cable network launched in the digital age. I'm gonna take 2 seconds to shout out to my big boss, our chairman, Sean Combs, for always seeing what others don't see, for being the definition of disruptive, for allowing us to do what we're doing right here in this space. He's an innovator who has repeatedly rewritten the rules and of every industry that he's touched. When Revolt launched, we were digital first. We were social by design, and we were dedicated to representing the next generation of creators. We were a brand that was defiant, a brand that was bold, and more than anything, a brand that was unapologetic. We were the first ones on the scene to introduce you to rappers like Childish Gambino, Snow Allegra, G-Eazy, Vic Mensa, and of course, the internet. We shifted the industry, we rewrote the rules, and we set an entire new standard. We did what everybody said was impossible. And this was before there was an Apple Music. This was before there was a Spotify. This was before all of the other streaming giants existed. This is back in the days when digital was secondary. Secondary in the industry, and traditional cable was primary, it was first. We saw the shift happening. And we were the first network, we were the first ones to fully embrace and execute against the shift. Now here's where I want y'all to pay attention. Today, the mission for Revolt stays the same, but our dream has gotten even bigger. And today, the reason we wanted to have this conversation is because we wanted to invite you on that journey with us, not just as our audience, not just as consumers, but as creators. How many creators I got in here? As builders, how many builders I got in here? As design thinkers, how many design thinkers I got in here? All of us partnering together to lead. We understand that the culture is driven by who? We understand that the culture is driven by? And because of that, we also know we're not one-dimensional. We know that the people in this room are content creators. We know that the people in this room are thought leaders, design thinkers, and we want you to know today that Revolt is your platform. We also know Web3 is the future, a decentralized internet that will create a new digital ecosystem that will allow creators to own every element of their digital footprint. That's why we've hired the best and the brightest. I'm gonna leave you guys with words that were handed down to me by my fearless chairman. They call the game of media programming for a reason. They're gonna program your mind. We can either let them program us, or we can program us. Here at Revolt, we say, let us program ourselves. Join the revolution. Thank you.
I'm here at the REVOLT Summit, shooting my shot at the McDonald's container.
To me, shooting your shot is all about knowing that you are worthy of going for what you want in life.
Last champagne left it out, but I still drink it. Watching all these D1 bowlers think I can still take them.
My dream project is to inspire the uninspired.
My dream project is to make people across the world smile.
I won't do you with a liar, cheater, manipulator, perpetrator.
My dream project is to make good music that'll touch people's souls and spirits.
We at the Revolt Summit. This is a McDonald's Shoot Your Shot. We about to get on stage. It's gonna be crazy.
Got bars back in my bag.
I got bars. I got the bars.
You know what it is. I got the bars.
I got the bars. FPL, baby. McDonald's Shoot Your Shot.
The Revolt Summit by AT&T is sponsored by McDonald's, Doritos, Ciroc, and Puma.
I first want to go and ask Tia, especially, coming from the WNBA, we always talk about, the difference in economic opportunities between the NBA, the WNBA, athletes, women athletes, male athletes in general. So I want to ask you, what is a way to go ahead and make that equal? How can we go ahead and bridge that gap and make it so that women who are just as popular and just as dominant in their profession are getting the same opportunities?
I personally think that making it equal would be kind of hard because the NBA is 75 years in, and I think the WNBA is only 25. I think where we're at now, we've made a lot of strides compared to the beginning, but as far as just like having the NBA support us and other sports and men and women coming together, I think that brings a lot of viewership, and with viewership comes a lot of money. So the more support, I think the more money we'll make.
Justin, from the other side of things, you obviously write about sports, you're engraved in the culture. How have you seen men go ahead and embrace the WNBA and women athletes in general to go ahead and start bridging that economic gap between sports?
Yeah, I think that's an incredible question. I was just talking to Renee Montgomery recently.
Shout out to Renee.
Yeah, shout out to Renee. Really good, good person. And we were talking about she was like, yo, the NBA has always supported us. They've been huge fans of us. It's just been like the common fan where the gap is. And just over the last couple of years, of course, there's still so much work that needs to be done to make things right. Of course, we can have conversations around pay gap and what women are paid and what they should be paid. And so I think the more and more these conversations, and they need to happen, and these conversations need to lead to action. Tia just talked about endorsement opportunities, branding, and things of that nature. I think that's going to continue to grow the game. That's going to continue to create that emotional connection. Because once you have an emotional connection to something, then the economic gains are going to come because you're going to support what you really care about. So it's just a matter of continuing to show that, women's sports are sports.
Taj, you're in a sport that, doesn't get the same level of attention that, say, the NBA or even the WNBA gets, but it's also a sport that I don't think many people know women compete in. So how does that go ahead and affect how you're able to elevate through that career, through that sport, through that field, and also get those same opportunities?
Well, I think that it starts at home. In our family, I'm African American. We were not given a choice in whether or not we participated in sport. It was more so of what sport do you want to play? And I think that was my parents. Their intention was to make sure they knew where we were after school. But in a sport like fencing, I gravitated towards it because the athletes were fully covered. And we all know, when we think about fencing, it's a historically white sport. You don't see a lot of people who look like us in the sport. And so my mission now as a professional athlete, as someone who's competed at the Olympics, won an Olympic medal, is to make sure that our kids see themselves in this sport. And before we came out, you talked about Serena and Venus.
Right.
They're so impactful, even for someone like me, not the same sport, but I see so much of myself in them. They participated in a predominantly white sport of tennis. The beads that Serena and Venus wore, I know that most black women can relate to the braids and the beads.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think in order for us to really push the agenda of getting our girls not only in sports, but helping them stay in sports, like Justin said, we have to support. We can all talk a big game about women in sports. How do we support WNBA players? How do we support our swimmers, our gymnasts, our fencers? really we have to show up and support. And I think that that's one thing that, especially the Black community, has never faltered in, is supporting. So put your money where your mouth is and show up to these games, show up to even the smaller sports.
Dennis Rodman, a cultural, social phenomenon, an icon. My first question for you, OG, who the hell is Dennis Rodman?
Who is Dennis Rodman? You know what? Seriously, when I grew up in the projects, it was funny that I didn't find an identity for myself, because when you live in the projects, man, it sucks. You know, and all of a sudden, when you have no place to go, told you don't do this bullshit.
It's too early. Look, he already crying. You bet me $100 that he wouldn't cry. I want my 100.
No, but it's very cool, man, to be who you are today. It's very hard to understand how you are today because the world is moving so fast. You know, living in a project, you probably know what I'm talking about, right? And a lot of you guys probably know what I'm talking about. It sucks. But I didn't expect to be who I am today. I never did that. I thought I'd be in jail or probably dead.
Do you understand the impact that you had on culture and boys and girls like me growing up playing sports?
Well, I understand one thing, you know, when I did that thing in San Antonio in 1993, I told people, you know, I was gonna kill myself. I went in there with a shotgun to my goddamn mouth and said, hey, this is over, man. This is a true story. Someone just happened to knock on the damn window and say, hey, you okay? Let me help you. This is a true story. And I'm in the height of my career, right? And it sucks to say, I have nobody to help me. But then, you know, when somebody gave me a hand and say, hey, let's take care of this issue. Let's take care of this thing, right? I said, yes. But then after that, I became Dennis Rodman. I became Dennis Rodman in 1993, 94. I became that Rozilla, you know, that bad guy, the bad boy guy, stuff like that. But like I said, I'm so happy that I'm still living. I'm so happy. The fact that people gave me a chance, like you guys are giving me a chance, doesn't even speak to you. So that's it. Just give me a chance. That's it.
I was watching some videos, old-time videos of Dennis Rodman preparing for this interview. They asked Shaquille O'Neal a question. Shaq, they was like, so, teammate. And Shaq's response was, Dennis Rodman. Shaq said, Dennis Rodman didn't go by the rules. If Kobe and I was showing up at 12 like everybody else, the game start at 2, Dennis Rodman show up at 1:45. That's Shaq's story. Give me the most legendary Dennis Rodman story that no one has ever heard.
You know what, guys? You know, this is a true story. Jerry Buss loved him so much. He loved black people. He loved black people, man. And that guy's cool as hell. The reason why Shaq didn't like me, Kobe didn't like me, like I said, bless your soul. Shaq didn't like me because I was more famous than him.
Oh,
now, that's
hold on, say that again?
That's for real. That's for real. I came in, and Jerry Buss, I used to date Jeannie Buss, his daughter. That was cool, too. But no, that's a true story. But Shaq didn't like me because when I came in, they catered to me, which I didn't give a damn, because Jerry Buss came to me at Rue Chris in Orange County and said, Dennis, would you like to come play for the Lakers? I said, Jerry, you're with me, right? So Jerry had like 8 girls with him, right? Champagne and stuff like that. So I go into the arena, and I'm saying, this is a joke, right? The next thing you know, they fired the coach the same day I got there. And Shaq didn't like that for some reason because he knew that that sunshine of light wasn't on his ass no more. Now, it came on me now. And Kobe, he just accepted it. And he just accepted it. So, you know, I don't really give a shit, man. As long as you're doing well in your life, that's what I care about. You know what? Like I said, I give you all the money I have. As long as you're happy, I'm good to go.
Right. That's beautiful.
The Baby just came out with a song where he said he slept with Megan Thee Stallion. Megan is in a whole relationship. I kind of felt that that was tasteless for him to do that. And maybe there was no real reason behind that because he was canceled for the AIDS jokes.
Do you think that it's okay that we live in a world where a rapper can say something negative towards the LGBT community and be canceled, but not against a woman?
Okay, let's say the baby, for example, right? He said something about AIDS, right? That was definitely pertaining to the gay community. But then he continues to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. Like, he's not learning. And I think that's what I was saying initially in this conversation. It's like, if you make a mistake, have conversations with people and find out why you spoke so ignorantly. But if you're continuing the same type of behavior, at some point, I mean, I don't think anyone should necessarily be canceled, but for me, I'm not into that. Like, I would never listen to his music because of that, and I'm a feminist, so what he just said about Megan was just in really, really poor taste, knowing she's in a relationship. Whatever they did before, if it's true or not, it's just, you don't, it's just, if you like a real man and you really get it like that, you're not finna talk about it like that. You just not. Like, that's corny.
I'm sorry for
like
making I Hit It First. I really am. I ain't gonna make no more songs like that.
I mean, Ray J, I get that you were young, but at the same time, again, if you redeem yourself and you realize, you know what, maybe that was in poor taste and I'm not gonna do that anymore, then you're changing and growing as a person.
And I will say that is the difference, because in our private conversations, even before we came here, I asked Ray, I said, you know, where do you feel comfortable going with this? And what he said was, I want to be very clear. I'm a black man fighting for my children, understanding who their father is. And I think
just
that's
fighting
the
for my
distinct
truth.
difference.
I just want to live in my truth. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I don't, whatever happens on the other side or whatever, just give me my truth. And if everybody can continue to make money, fine. I don't care. I just want a clean slate. And I do love in hip hop every season, because every time I watch myself back each season, like the first few seasons, I was horrible. I was doing some bad things. And people can tell you to change, or they see what you're doing, but when you can watch yourself and the stuff that I was doing, I was ashamed of myself. So every year I just started to get better and better, and I said, okay, I'm gonna keep doing the show, because I keep making adjustments every year, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes people fall by the wayside, but if your main intention is to do better, get better, listen more, hear more, and actually have the heart to say I'm sorry, or I messed up.
So when we were backstage, we were talking about cancel culture versus blacklisting, because you went through a very public thing. Everybody knows NeNe Leaks is the reason why Real Housewives of Atlanta is a real show. And I'll be the first person to say, I ain't watched that since she left the show. But we were having a conversation, NeNe, we were having a conversation that when I thought it was cancel culture, you said it was blacklisting, because once you said the network was being racist, they went on this silent attack, but I thought it was public, maybe because I'm on Hollywood Unlocked. But explain what you thought the difference between cancel culture and blacklisting.
Well, I didn't say that the network was being racist. What I said was what I said. And you know I didn't actually say that.
What did you say?
The very first comment I posted on social media said, this is what happens when a racist and a cokehead get together. So there were no names in that, but that is what there were no names in that. I said that. That's what I posted. That's what I posted, okay?
Can we get a fan?
I personally think that what I was explaining to Jason was that I think cancel culture and blacklisting are two different things. Although they're cousins and twins, they operate differently. I don't feel like I've ever been a part of the cancel culture. I mean, you guys see me every day up and down social media with all these fabulous memes, don't you? I don't feel like I was ever canceled. I'm very much here.
And here to stay.
Very much.
But we want her back on Real Housewives of Atlanta too, right? Okay.
The REVOLT Summit by AT&T is sponsored by Pepsi, Ally, Walmart, and State Farm.
I want to focus on the evolution. I want to focus on the power of connectivity and the impacts of that connectivity and the opportunities of closing the digital divide for diverse communities. And I'm talking about Black and brown communities. In my current work at AT&T, I create experiences like REVOLT Summit at AT&T, that foster deeper connections and evoke conversations that live at the intersection of culture and technology. I told y'all connectivity is at our core at AT&T. I'm happy that you all are investing your time and your money here at REVOLT Summit by AT&T, because this investment is an investment in all our futures from what happens here. I thank you for your investment in our future. I thank you for your time today. My name is Matthew Brooks with AT&T. Thank you. I want to start by introducing myself to you. I am Matthew Brooks. I'm lead marketing communications manager at AT&T for special experiences. And growing up, even though I work at AT&T now, our telephone was not always connected. We didn't stay connected because we had to choose sometimes between food and a phone. I'm empowered by the connections available to me. These connections have also given me access. And fortunately for some of us here in the heart of Atlanta, we can exchange email addresses, Instagram handles, TikTok handles, download the REVOLT Summit by AT&T app, that was a plug, get it on your phone, and stay in contact with each other, whether that's later today, tomorrow, in the foreseeable future. But understand that that kind of connectivity is not always the case for everybody in every community. Too many communities across the United States lack access to high-speed, reliable broadband connectivity. Can you believe that in 2022? Lack of these resources can limit educational, economic, and professional success. There are barriers out there to your success, to gaining access to information. In my current work at AT&T, I create experiences like REVOLT Summit at AT&T that foster deeper connections and evoke conversations that live at the intersection of culture and technology. I told y'all connectivity is at our core at AT&T. AT&T is committed to investing $2 billion over a multi-year effort. $2 billion. These are meaningful resources and contributions towards creating a more equitable society. We're providing access. We're paving the way for adoption. We continue to put AT&T resources and leadership to work towards initiatives that we believe can diversify and strengthen our workforce internally, but also advance economic opportunity and overcome systemic barriers for all. I thank you for your investment in our future. I thank you for your time today. My name is Matthew Brooks with AT&T.
You all have either worked with or actually started companies that are focused squarely on making sure that our communities are connected to the latest technologies. Why is it important that we have this conversation about technology and connectivity? DeAndre, I'll start with you.
Yeah. So, I think a big thing that we've seen within our communities is that we oftentimes have just a lack of resources, a lack of accessibility, sometimes even the lack of digital literacy. And so being able to get plugged into technology, the internet, it really makes our geography become boundaryless, right? You're able to travel the world, meet people across the world, learn anything regardless of where you are.
My organization literally is #1 in the world in what we do, right? And I just promoted a bunch of folks last year, black men, black women, Asian, LGBTQ, folks living with disabilities, a whole nine. Most of those folks don't have a technology background. A lot of us come from places where, mama, big mama taught us how to make $1 out of 15 cents. That grit is a transferable skill that unfortunately we leave in the parking lot. We don't take it into work with us. If you are really pushing for it, or you really taking that type of $1 out of 15 cent mentality along with some passion to go learn, the door will open.
Technology is paramount in the future because the world is about to drastically change when it comes to employment. Computers and AI are about to get rid of a lot of jobs, but the ability to turn yourself into a business with just a phone is the future. And so being connected to technology and connectivity is extremely important because when they're self-driving Ubers and freight trains and cars and there's nobody in McDonald's but a kiosk, there are gonna be a lot of people out of jobs. And so we need to have other alternative resources using technology to find a way to make money in the future.
I mean, from my perspective, I think the future of markets is the creator economy. You're seeing platforms like TikTok overtake Google as a search engine. That's because of creators. Oftentimes, the success of these creators is started and driven with Black and brown creators. And so I think as brands, as companies are seeing their opportunities in the market, they're gonna start with the creator economy, and entire markets are gonna be built around the creator economy. And being really clear as a creator of where you stand and what's the value that you bring to the market is really gonna open the door for the future.
So, David, we're here at Revolt, and AT&T is the partner. Talk to us about the importance of experiences like this, right? The connectivity that exists between all of the folks that will attend Revolt, the summit over the next couple of days. Like, why is AT&T involved?
Look, for AT&T, we've been around 145, 146 years. We know that the #1 connection is the human connection. And so our mission is to connect people better than anybody else in the world, no matter what they're doing, play, work, leisure, et cetera. And having experiences like this allow folks who are leading those things out in the world, you guys are the tip of the spear. That's why you're here. And so to expose what it is that AT&T does and show that we are in full support of the creativity, of the longevity, of the culture, is important so that you guys are not only, customers of AT&T, but hopefully advocates of AT&T and what it is that we do.
Hello, Revolt Summit. I'm Khadija Robinson. I'm the CEO of Empowered Global, here to just give you a very quick word. So last year I sold my company, The Nihilist, to Combs Enterprises / Sean Combs, and we started building this company. And I'm really excited for what we're gonna bring you. I wanna talk a little bit about what that's gonna look like, because it really is innovation at its finest. So for the entrepreneurs out there, we are building a community. We are trying to bring you resources, capital, and education to help you grow and scale your businesses. This is not just another marketplace. We actually want to bring innovation and put it in your hands, okay? And the shopping is gonna be pretty lit too. Go check it out. You even be able to buy this bag, one of my favorites, protect Black women all day long. And we are so excited about that, about those connections and partnerships, because that's the new Black economy that we're looking to build. We're not gonna stop until all of the Black entrepreneurs on our platform, their whole supply chain is Black as too.
The Revolt Summit by AT&T is sponsored by McDonald's, Doritos, Ciroc, and Puma.
Being Black and Unlimited allows me to be able to create without any rules and without any barriers. I can just do what I do what I love, and do what makes me happy.
Man, I'll say playing guitar. That's what I do. I play guitar. I discovered it through Guitar Hero. That's what got me into it. I was a little kid at Walmart. I was actually at Walmart, and I was walking around, saw the demo, started playing it, and I was like, yo, this is dope. Me growing up in a Black family, I wasn't exposed to no rock and roll and none of that. So it opened me up to all types of different music and genres, and it helped me start the band that I'm in now. We expose people to different music and different genres and everything.
Secret talent I have. I feel like being able to talk to any type of person. Like, I feel like for a while I didn't meet that diverse of a crowd, but when I started meeting different types of people, I saw my friend group start turning into like this type of person, and you'd be like, oh, I wouldn't expect you to be with him, wouldn't expect you to be with him. And I feel like I appreciate that a lot because you learn a lot, get different perspectives.
So a secret talent of mine is that I'm really good at talking to people. I feel like it's really important to be able to hear people and understand people for who they are and not just what they're trying to give. A lot of the world, there's a lot of fakeness in the world, there's a lot of people hurting. So taking the time to listen to people and hear people out, I feel like it's a superpower.
When you want to know what my passion is this right here. It is making an impact on my community. It is giving opportunities to Black creatives who have all of the genius, who have all of the might, who have all of the power, and have just never been given the chances and the opportunities. I wake up every day to create impact. This is my passion. Revolt Summit is literally just the manifestation of all of the things that I'm passionate about. I get to walk around and see young people making moves, making business deals, getting jobs, painting installations. Like, this is what I get up for. This is my passion. I love it every single day.
It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for having me and allowing me in the space and the stage. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the future of commerce, hip-hop, creativity, and the intersection that exists in that world. While there are new dimensions and infinite avenues, splintered audiences, the future of commerce isn't much different from its past. In 1928, Walt Disney gave us Mickey Mouse. By 1940, Disney had introduced us to a host of Mickey's friends. By the summer of 1955, Walt built an entire world around that surname, actualizing that universe that was born from a sketch of a scrawny mouse. Today, from theme parks and cruises and streaming services, Disney represents a universe that has birthed many more, to the tune of $196 billion. But Disney is just one example. Each and every one of us is sitting on our own version of Disney, Fenty, or our own version of Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl. And in a room full of 400 plus creatives, the floor for us is 400 very unique stories that we can forge with intention. Have them set out to double down on the universal elements so that we can help each other tell our own stories. But the future of commerce isn't much different from the past. That said, yesterday's price is not today's price. Thank you, thank you.
So today we are going to shed light on a competition that I had the opportunity to be a witness to last week. It's called Moguls in the Making, brought to you by Ally. If you're unfamiliar with Ally, it is a digital finance service. It's one of the best in the world. And we have the winners from Morehouse. Y'all make some noise for our young black kings up here. So you guys, in addition to winning a lot of money, I don't want to put your pockets out there, but they won $20,000 apiece. Y'all make some noise for these young black brothers. You know, I asked you last week, things may have changed. I see you got a new gold chain on. How are we spending this $20,000, fellas?
I got to pay my mom back for school.
Hey,
She helped me out, so
cut the check to Mom Dukes. Love that. One thing that kind of eludes our community en masse is financial literacy. Why do you think that's so important for our community, and what do you feel like we can do going forward to help en masse change how our community handles financial literacy?
A lot of people, you know, grow up in survival mode. You know, that's how I learned to grow up, was in survival mode. Like, what can I do to make sure that I maintain my lifestyle and sustain?
People should make it a part of their lives more. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you my history where I grew up. It wasn't, like, it's uncommon that people know what a stock is, a bond is, can explain it thoroughly. You know what I'm saying? They know what's going on with the macroeconomic climate right now, right? But what happens is when you start talking about this to people who aren't familiar, they zone out. They don't hear it. It's fruitless, you know?
But I feel like ways that we can combat that, I feel like it's two ways. I feel like one is, of course, starting like with the parents, of course, also starting like with the children.
Yeah.
Right? So, of course, because, you know, as like generations retire, it's gonna be new generations coming into the workforce. So I feel like those are like the two ways I feel like that we could do it.
Okay. And to see you all gives me inspiration for what my children can become, and I mean that genuinely and sincerely. And I want everybody right now to put their hands together for these young moguls in the making.
This is gonna be fun, man. Y'all jam-packed in here. That means that y'all hungry for the information, so we're not gonna waste any time.
This is gonna be an educational, informational event today. We're gonna give y'all the blueprint. I went to college, the University of Houston. I graduated in 1 month. Who said what? Okay, you don't believe it. I graduated in 1 month. Let me tell you how. So I got into business and marketing, right? My professor said, you pass this test, you gotta tell us what McDonald's is selling. I said cheeseburgers. The other person said Big Macs. Somebody else said French fries. We all got F's. The professor said, they're selling consistency. Whatever McDonald's you go to, you're gonna get the same taste in Big Mac. That's the consistency. We have to do that same consistency with the stuff that we believe in. We have to sell consistency if we want to turn that into a multi-million-dollar, a billion-dollar empire. And I knew that first month is nothing else they could teach me in school. I was already done and ready to go. And that's what you got to realize, that when that light bulb clicked on, I had to sell consistency. And I put that in everything that I did. And that's how I grew my business from the projects to making the top Forbes under 40s.
So let's talk about the art of turning down a deal, especially, like you said, you come from nothing. You have an opportunity to get 100,000, 500. What's the art of turning down a deal?
My whole motto is never do a deal when you're desperate. I think a lot of people don't know that. They like, I got these bills to pay, so but it's what are you really worth? Because when I walked out that office with Jimmy Iovine, I only had $500 in my pocket, and I'm going back to the project. But I said, if this white man gonna give me $1 million, how much am I really worth? People think money is the only way that you're gonna build wealth. It's not money, it's ideas. Because look at all the people that are still successful. They're not successful because of their talent. Look at Michael Jordan. He's successful. He can't play basketball no more, but he still make money off it. Look at George Foreman. He made more money with the grill than any other thing that he done. And so even when you look at me, I was probably one of the first entertainers and professional athletes to have a deal with Converse. And that's when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I got this Converse deal, but I don't own it. So the next step is creating my own brand. I'm telling y'all, you gotta find your niche, and the way you reinvent yourself, don't be afraid to grow up. Don't be afraid to make the right investments, and don't be afraid to invest in yourself. So it starts from there.
Good. So, I mean, speaking of assets and liabilities, that's obviously the name of our show on Revolt. We want to quickly just give them something from our asset journal. So this is brought to you by our friends at Ally. It's called the Asset Journal, and the word itself is assets, because a lot of times people don't really have the full definition of it.
Yeah, asset is anything that, you know, adds value or appreciates over the course of time. It becomes extremely difficult to spend money on liabilities once you're educated on assets, because you look at everything as an opportunity. So instead of spending that $1,000, you're like, I could have invested that $1,000. Now that $10,000 that you invested in your company grew to be hundreds of millions of dollars, but you could have easily spent that $10,000 in a nightclub.
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all something that make a lot of sense that they don't teach us. Let your uncomfortableness take you to your dreams and your goals. Don't stop, don't quit, don't give up. Don't let some little adversity tell you that you need to stop, you can't make it, you don't believe in this no more. Look yourself in the mirror. It's a process.
Percy Miller in the flesh,
y'all. Clap it up for that, man. Make some noise for Master P, ladies and gentlemen.
The Revolt Summit by AT&T is sponsored by Pepsi, Ally, Walmart, and State Farm.
Welcome to the Revolt Summit by AT&T. Atlanta is the new home to Revolt Studios.
Doritos is so proud to amplify this year's Solid Black Changemakers creative expression and share their inspirational stories.
I got the honor of being able to DJ here at 9 o'clock, introducing the Future Is Now, which is, you know, like next group of artists who are going to be taking over this year, right? It's being a part of that and being like a vet in the game, being able to like align myself with the next generation of artists. That's my mantra, and that's how I was trying to keep moving forward.
The Solid Black campaign was born out of a brand pledge in 2020 to celebrate the importance of Black creators and amplifying their voices.
I'm back in my bag like Doritos.
These are people who are using creativity and boldness to drive culture and give back to their communities.
We understand that the culture is driven by who? Welcome to the Revolt family.
We talking about the future of hip hop. Yeah. Can you break down like what it is to be a major artist versus what an independent artist is?
The independent grind pays off because you're not locked in long term in your deal, right? And if you have a profit split, if you get a hit record and you get a #1 record, that could accumulate $5 to $7 million, and half of that money is yours, and you don't owe nobody. But obviously, the majors are big at developing artists, man, and I think artist development is one of the biggest reasons to sign to a major. With Nipsey, though, he always knew what he wanted to do. He used to come to the marketing meeting with his own marketing plan. Meek was also somebody that had a vision. He knew where he came from, what he had to do to be successful. Like I be telling a lot of my people, you got to do more than just one thing now. Like you got to be able to be a great artist, make great songs.
Right.
You gotta connect with your fans, and it don't matter where you're from. You could be in any place in the world. It was a lot of people didn't know that Nigeria was gonna be running music. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta understand, like right now, everybody in this room like has an opportunity to make it, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that's important, and that's really the future, right?
Know that you could do this. For real, y'all all capable. Y'all are very all capable.
And that's how the culture stay alive, though, y'all, like the youth, man. Like, I'm looking for young A&Rs. I'm looking for young people outside of just want to be an artist that's on the business side because, you know, y'all ideas are what keeps this thing going. So y'all are in control of the next 20 to 30 years.
Future of creative freedom. Tell me what that means to you. Justice, you want to start?
I think that being resourceful is what's gonna really determine if you're gonna be here or not.
As long as you have self-love and you stay motivated and you work hard, you have the creative freedom to be whoever you want to be.
How do you deal with the backlash from that?
You want to pay attention to the hate, you got to focus on the love. And it made me get goosebumps because I'm like, damn, it is so many people that really love me.
Like what I do is not a product, it's a service. It just feels like that because a lot of the stuff that I do actually works.
It's a lot that I see people start saying and like, it go viral. But a big thing I started that a lot of people with, I made these hoodies. When I first did it, I made a whole lot of money off of it. And it was like in Forbes, Teen Vogue, like all that, right? And it was cool. Down the line, I started seeing people selling that same product because, you know what I'm saying, I had patent issues when I first started doing it.
Speak on the difficulties when you do sample other people's work.
Samples, I hope next year artists really tap into more just being original.
I feel like the women in R&B are really thriving. You just gotta really seek it out. And if you find an artist that you love, support them. You know what I mean? Like, give artists that are underground chances. A lot of the artists in my playlist, they're not mainstream, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that R&B is dead.
I think social media is 100% a marketing tool. There's so many people on there that's like you, like, and they gonna find you. You know what I'm saying? So when they find you, it's like, make sure you tend to them. You feel me? Like, you ain't gotta make songs for them or like do stuff for them or make clothes for them, but just talk to them.
Like art that I wouldn't consider to be amazing, I would say it's more like a bowl of fruit. I can see all the influences. I know exactly where everything came from, but something that's really, truly special, like Smino, for instance, he like one of them type of artists where it's like, he like a puree. Really good art is like a puree.
So what's up, y'all? I want to welcome y'all to the Future of Independence. This is going to be a panel discussion about finding our financial freedom. We got La Russell, we got Big Freedia, we got Guapdad 4000, and we got Lady London. Let's go. Let's get it. 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 Hey, in the back, I already said we're going to have the best panel, so it's already time, and let's get to it. When we're talking about the future of independence, one of the things that I find near and dear, right, is like, as the artist, you got to look at yourself as the brand, as a Fortune 500 company. And as a result, you got to put the right pieces around you.
Definitely. So, I mean, the team comes natural of like work, bro. If you're building something that people are inspired by and they want to go help you build it, they naturally come. You really got to be the type of person that you want around you. You feel me? Law of attraction.
Big Freedia, you know I'll be remiss if I ain't talking about how you working with the Queen Bee. Talk about, make some noise for that.
Yeah. Most importantly is, I mean, I just love when the royalty checks come, you know? It's just a blessing, though, for sure, to be able to work with somebody of that magnitude. And Beyonce is a sweetheart. She calls me and invites me to all kind of stuff, and I'm grateful to be a part of the Beehive.
A royalty check on a song with Beyonce, that's probably thicker than usual. So I'm curious to know, how are you thinking about investing that?
Well, I'm always investing. So I just dropped my cannabis brand, the Royal Bud, putting money back into my company. That way I can make more money.
I put publishing in my nephew's name for all of my songs. So he collects residual checks every year. Anytime I was making money, I was like, how can I keep this? And my mentor told me, never spend nothing unless you can buy it 10 times.
That's a fact.
Not
like
2
that.
times, 10 times. I mean, down to McDonald's fries. If that's $1 and you don't have $10, no fries for you. My business model has always been own your thoughts and have the power to license them if you would like.
If you can't manage $1,000, then you won't be able to manage $1 million.
The crypto market is funny because a lot of people, especially people of color, crypto seem like an easy lick.
Exactly.
It's not that. It take work.
And the way you treat people in this game will go a long way.
Be real with your people while you're on that journey, because either way, you can't skip the work.
The struggle and the grind is real.
The REVOLT Summit by AT&T is sponsored by McDonald's, Doritos, Ciroc, and Puma.
Are y'all ready for the REVOLT Summit 2022?
We have Mike Camargo, CEO of the Vandal Group, and then we've got Dr. Dwayne Edwards. He is the founder of Penn Sol Lewis College.
Any real representation of culture is an extension of yourself, and like fashion is for me, it's always been the easiest way to express myself, and I feel like a lot of creatives find that they can express themselves through how they look, you know, a lot easier than expressing themselves verbally or, you know, communicating in any other way.
You just get this feeling of inspiration and motivation, like you're around people that look just like you, same age range as you, so like it's a lot of empowerment going on.
It's definitely a place you want to tap into if you're creative in the city and trying to make moves, make connections, and advance.
I just stopped by the Puma spot. We Are Legends is recently launching, and they got some really good merch.
We are here to launch the We Are Legends collection. This is Puma's first ever collection led by a collective of all Black designers, empowered by the brand to celebrate Black culture through fashion.
It's time for us to truly tell our own stories authentically, and we wanted to come together as a collective of internal Black and brown people within the Puma community to make this happen.
And we had a great time. They got some good merch, so make sure y'all stay tuned for it.
I want to shout out AT&T. Dreaming Black Stage would not be here without them.
Look, baby, I don't know about you, but I'm particularly excited about our first panel today.
Yes.
It's about to be now. We're gonna be discussing the future of Black fashion and design. Ooh, I ain't gonna hold you because you know I stay dripped out. You know, I'm always fly. Shout out to Puma. You know, they be doing what they do.
First up, we got Nubia Williams. She is the senior women's wear designer and storyteller with Puma. We have Roberta Baker-Lundy. We're gonna call her Rebel today. She is an apparel designer with Puma. We have Mike Camargo, CEO of the Vandal Group. And then we've got Dr. Dwayne Edwards. He is the founder of Penn Sol Lewis College that is up in Detroit. We got any people from Detroit? There we go. Nubia, you actually started creating designs at the age of 7 years old.
All right, so my mother is a visual artist, and she's always taken me to every kind of creative event, whatever. And what I was most inspired by were all the women I would see and all the outfits. And you had like actors, you had musicians, you had dancers, and the way they all dressed themselves, I was so inspired. So that's really when I started taking some of her excess fabrics, and I'd make fashion collages. And I got commissioned for $35 at the age of 7 to make one of those fashion collages. Wow. And that's when I was like, okay.
$35 at 7 years old is a lot of money, right?
It was a lot of money. I was like, I can buy so much candy.
So I started like cutting up old stuff and like making the clothes for my Cabbage Patches, cutting up socks for my Barbie dolls and making gowns. And then eventually I moved into like going to Rainbows when I was in middle school, buying pants and like everything else and cutting them up and making skirts for myself. And then when I graduated high school, my sister was like, can you make my prom dress? And I was like, wow. Okay.
So you made it?
Yeah, so then I started with prom dresses and then wedding gowns, custom clothing. Puma called me, and then I'm here.
How important is it to make sure that in fashion, you are representing culture at the same time?
I mean, I feel like any real representation of culture is an extension of yourself. And like fashion is for me, it's always been the easiest way to express myself. And I feel like a lot of creatives find that they can express themselves through how they look, you know, a lot easier than expressing themselves verbally or, you know, communicating in any other way. A lot of creatives communicate with colors and palettes and styles. Me, I've always tried to make sure that my style is an extension of myself and intrinsic to me, my details of my life. So I always try to add a little bit of just notes, cues, and things that I grew up around to make it feel authentic.
Dwayne, I want to get to you because I think that your story, y'all got to listen to this, okay? Tell us about, it's Pelson Lewis College, correct?
Pencil, yeah.
Pencil. So tell us a little bit about that, y'all, because this was a school that was shut down, right, in Detroit, 2013?
2013.
You came in and opened it back up.
Yep.
It's an HBCU for people that want to go into fashion and design.
The college, honestly, is the college I wish I was able to attend.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the old head on the panel, so this is year 34 for me in this industry.
You're not the old head, you're the pioneer on the panel.
I appreciate that.
You led the way.
Appreciate that. But I mean, when I was trying to get on, this was in like 85, 86. I started customizing sneakers. Didn't know that was a job. Didn't know that was something you could do to make money. Ended up starting my career at the age of 19 as a professional designer. I ended up being only the second black designer in the whole industry at the time.
Wow.
And there was just this slow progression of us getting into this industry from a design perspective, especially on the footwear side. I left the industry, I got in, worked at all these big brands, worked with recording artists like Puff and Snoop and Dre when they were teenagers and I'm in my early 20s. Had a chance to work at Jordan and do all that stuff. And I walked away because here I am, I'm seeing all these black kids buying product, but they're not sitting next to me designing product. And that bothered me because then kids started killing each other for the sneakers that I was doing. And so I left the industry to actually create a pathway that I didn't necessarily have.
I've seen so many obstacles be washed away in the past 10 years with technology that were set in stone for the generation before us.
Right.
Technology has allowed us to do so much. You know, we don't have to work for anybody. You can work for yourself. If you're passionate about anything enough, you can make it feed you independently. So, you know, the only excuse is what's in your way of finding what you want to do to extrapolate it from your own journey. Because there's right now a felony, parole, cases, none of that can stop you. Mental health, none of that. If you really are passionate, now is the easiest time to make yourself independently successful. In this generation right here.
Absolutely, and when you talked about, 15 people working on, a pair of sneakers or a sweatshirt, Dwayne, how important is it for people, all of us, to really understand that there is room at the table? Like, sometimes you're not always gonna be at the top, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're not always gonna be at the head, but you're gonna be at the table. Mm-hmm. How important is it for people to understand that sometimes that's how you get in first, is by being humble and working your way up?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things I learned super early is that corporations and white people study us more than we study them. And that's like a huge disconnection, right? Where we actually look at white folks and corporations through this lens of like, that ain't connected to me. But they know everything about us because they're trying to figure out ways to emotionally appeal to our senses and emotion of insecurities of getting us to buy something, right? We have so much power. We don't know how much power we have, primarily because the information is not there for us to understand that, because they fear the idea of us understanding our power through unifying our voices. If we unified our voices, oh my goodness.
The REVOLT Summit by AT&T is sponsored by Pepsi, Ally, Walmart, and State Farm.
My name is Eric Hart Jr. We are at the REVOLT Summit in Atlanta, Georgia, inside of the Doritos Solid Black Changemakers booth. Yeah.
Doritos has built a legacy on the power of creative expression. Specifically, The Solid Black campaign was born out of a brand pledge in 2020 to celebrate the importance of Black creators and amplifying their voices.
We have our Changemakers backdrop where you can take a picture or a video, post it to social media with the hashtag SolidBlack2022. And we want you to put in the caption, what changes are you making to society now, or what changes you're looking to make in society in the future.
Oftentimes, Black creatives, Black businesses, we do kind of lack funding in time. So to be able to use these funds to create a full vision and to inspire others and to just have further outreach, I feel like that's what that grant really does. And the opportunity to donate to an organization of our choice. The queer community, we lack representation. Within mass media, queerness looks like a certain thing. Being a representation for that is just expanding the horizons of what queerness looks like. Being a change maker is important to me because it means being a part of a group, a cohort of people creating change and actually doing the work to amplify Blackness, amplify Black success. My name is Eric Hart Jr. and I'm a Doritos change maker.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to bring a keynote this morning at the most important conference of our culture, because it is bringing together so many aspects of our community, because I believe that we, Black people, are the greatest people in the world. And so I believe that we should live in communities where we thrive, where love is the order of the day. We say that unity is not uniformity, that we don't all have to get along in every way or believe in the same exact process. That's why no matter how much I may not be feeling someone, no matter how I may feel about some of our brothers and sisters in the movement, we don't always agree. You will not catch me going back and forth online with people who look like me, who claim to be a part of this movement. We know that they use the chatter online to create Black Lives Matter profiles, and they used it to tell people not to show up at the polls at all. They used it against us. Instead of us feeding people in the community, we feed the chatter online that makes us look like a disjointed people. With all that we're dealing with, poverty, food deserts, suicide rates skyrocketing, mental illness, infant mortality, Black trans women being killed, low reading levels, voter suppression, police violence, and a government that won't do a damn thing about it. Mass incarceration, gun violence taking the lives of our youth, and a devastating crisis of us losing our fallen artists from Nipsey Hussle to Young Dolph to PNB Rock. We are in a state of emergency. We don't have time to fight one another. That is too much work for us, brothers and sisters. We're fighting an enemy, and we must be intentional. We intend to be in a revolution to change this nation and to change the face of Black America. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your conference. Go in peace and power to the people.
Mike, we're going to start with you. You have strong feelings about how the debt of reparations should be paid. You feel like it should be land.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like that's the answer?
I think it's a culmination of things, but I think that if you're not asking for land as a big part of that, that maybe you're off course. If Bill Gates, who makes all his money off microchips and computers, is now trying to be the largest landowner in the United States, if you want a good sense of where to find some food, follow a hungry dog. If Gates want land, why aren't we 54% of all African Americans live in the South? We know we were enslaved here. We know we built the economy of the South. We know we were the cornerstone of the South, said by Alexander Stephens, the vice president of the Confederacy, who Stevens County is named for, said the cornerstone of the Confederacy is slavery. So since the cornerstone of building this bitch took us working for free, we deserve something. And what we deserve is land, and we deserve land grants like Dr. King asked for. We deserve to have government contracts that are 100 years in perpetuity for that land. So if corn need to be grown, we should be granted the land. We should be given the contracts to grow the corn. Why does that work? Because it keeps a dollar cycling, not only in our community, but the greater community.
Land is one aspect of it, in respect to my brother Mike. The thing is, we don't just want land because they'll do what they're doing in Mississippi. There's a bunch of people who live in a city, but then they'll taint the water. They will do certain things like they do on certain Indian reservations. They will pollute the creeks, things like that. So land is one option, but we need cash payments. And when we get the cash, we can buy whatever land we need.
I'll add, as an international human rights scholar, there's a legal definition for what reparations is. So under international law, reparations comes in 5 forms. So compensation or cash must be included because that's one of the forms of reparations under international law. But there's also restitution, and that accounts for stolen land, stolen labor, stolen property, real or intellectual. So that's relevant in the entertainment space in terms of the cultural contributions of African Americans, right? The other form of reparations under international law is rehabilitation. So that can look like free medical care from birth to death, free education, free legal and trauma services. Then there's satisfaction, which accounts for more symbolic forms of reparations, like a formal apology, the taking down of Confederate monuments, and the erecting of statues that honor our ancestors, for instance. And then the last, or the 5th form of reparations under international law is guarantees of non-repetition. So that gets at more structural and institutional policy change. So my personal opinion is that you cannot call a reparations package reparations unless it includes all 5 of those forms.
When we're talking about America and what is owed in America, it is directly the descendants of slaves in this country. It is not just slavery, because we want to make sure that people don't get caught up in that talking point where they just stop with slavery. We're talking about redlining, we're talking about sharecropping, we're talking about mass incarceration, we're talking about Jim Crow, all of the things that happened as a result of slavery that still exists today.
Where do Caribbean Americans fit in?
Well, they have something called CARICOM, where all the Caribbean nations got together and they are fighting the British colonialism and the French. So they have a reparations movement going on over there. We're not included in that, and that's fine. So we have our own reparations movement for Foundational Black Americans. Foundational Black American, that is a Black American, or what we are known to be called as African American, a person who's Black, who's not an immigrant. You don't come from an immigrant background. Foundational Black Americans are the only group who are non-immigrants. You're the people who built the country from scratch. You didn't immigrate from anywhere. You were descendants of slaves who built the country. That's what all the Foundational Black American is. It's not an organization. It's not a group. It is a lineage specific to this land.
Everyone does not include us in their party. Everyone does not include us in everything that they do. There has to be a point of division in order for us to separate and then unite among the like-minded of our people. So let's make this very clear. When we say we want to call people out, let's make this all the way clear. Everyone knows who is real and who is not. Because there are some of us who are banned from every damn where because of how absolutely legitimate we are. So when you want to call people out, first they must be pointed out. We cannot unite with slave makers, slave owners, traitors, turncoats, nor collaborators. It ain't gonna happen like that. Too many of us are Black people with white minds. And so when you put people in front who say they speak for us, but at this point it is 2022 going into 2023, and we are still in the same position, if not a little backward from where we were when it comes to our overall progress, I call conspiracy. And I will never trade my place with someone who has a lot of money but no respect for my own people.
That's right.
Too many of us get comfortable once we get a check and we forget where we came from.
That's right.
And you don't want to even go back around your people because you feel like we're not even worth being around.
That's right.
So at this point, again, this is a nice stage, a wonderful event, but knock it off. Those who are really about this, be about it, so that the enemy can say, you know what, we need to stop playing with these people and give them their real respect.
That's right. I was called to a meeting with the Hollywood Bureau of the NAACP. And they asked how could they support more performers and people who are in the business. And I said, well, it would be a surprise if you told them that you did. Often we're brought in as props, right next to somebody who's gotten murdered in the community, but no one's ever asked them, how are they doing? What type of financial sort of help or education do they need? So you have people like Prince and Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston and these people dying all the time. And we act like they're disposable, like, oh, we're sad. Are you kidding? These are some of the crowning achievements of world history. And they have voices that translate across the globe, whether we like it or not. We just need to educate them and put them in a position that if they ever are past the mic, they're able to say something that's deliberate and or intentional and give the mic over to someone who does know what they're talking about. Having said that, we need abolitionists, white people who are willing, as you say, to give up that space and say, I'm willing to die on this hill with you.
The REVOLT Summit by AT&T is sponsored by McDonald's, Doritos, Ciroc, and Puma.
Shout out to REVOLT! McDonald's is continuing to focus on innovative ways to connect with the next generation of diverse gamers.
Gaming's a lifestyle. It is. There's so many different facets of it.
We have some trailblazers in the gaming industry, people who are leading their own studios, making their own paths. It's amazing.
We've all realized that we're our own, each individual businesses now.
Really putting the work in and putting the focus on building your own foundation.
We're excited to announce that McDonald's is coming right back to Atlanta later this fall to revamp the Morris Brown College Gaming Center with tech upgrades. This is an investment in the future of Black gaming, and we want to recognize McDonald's for that commitment.
We are going to reach out to people and bring in gamers of all colors and kinds and whatnot. You have to have people in the room helping to create these experiences.
Man, it's so good to just see everybody here. So my name is Idris Sandhu. I go by the name Idris Sandhu, and I'm a founder and entrepreneur. And when I was 19, I partnered with Nipsey Hussle to create the world's first smart store. And in 2020, I started a company called Spatial Labs. Majority of the Black community has not had the opportunity to participate in attaining asset classes, let alone transferring our wealth from generation to generation. We've heard about instances on the internet where you post something or, sort of Black stories are suppressed. That changes because on the blockchain, data is immutable, non-immutable, and is accessible to everybody. Who here has a brand? Amazing, I'd love to see it. Okay, we all sell our products in two ways, right? Either on our website or we sell it where? In person. People buy it. Let's just say I bought something from you over there for $50. I bought it from you for $50. Then I immediately go on a secondary marketplace and I sell it for 150 times its value because you're that dope and your brand grows. You don't capture any of those sales. And we've heard instances of Black-owned brands in the past, whether it be art, whether it be music, whether it be product or clothing, where we're not able to capture those post-secondary sales. This technology allows you to write something called a smart contract directly when you're creating that product. So you can say, I'm creating a product and I will receive a 5% royalty every single time it's sold in the secondary market. Now this creates a completely new way for us to not only accumulate wealth, but track our wealth over time. So really this technology gives us the ability to take all these different asset classes. We love to consume. We love to go buy some high-end luxury stuff, but we get no value from that. Now, every single person that is involved with other brands, you know what you are? You're an investor. These are no longer depreciating assets. These assets accumulate more wealth over time. I really just wanted to emphasize and show you how important these new emerging technologies are. But I didn't want to get on the stage and talk about a metaverse that's 5 years from now. It's a metaverse that could bring value into the things that we care about through culture. Because people that are at these labels, people are at these brands, they're not the ones in the studio recording the music. So they tell you this is how much your stream is worth. But art increases in value. I would argue music is also a form of art. It should also increase in value. My album can now be a hat. You buy the hat, you unlock my album. My form of expression can now be the products that we intrinsically care about.
I'm excited for y'all today because I think this is our moment right now in time and in history to truly own what's ours, truly own our ideas. I'm curious to know, where do y'all stand on what's stopping us as creatives from building on the outside and building some of our own things? Aaron, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think part of it is just it's education, resource, and access. I think that we have to hit all three. You don't know what you don't know, right? So if you don't know what the right tools to build, what places to go to get the information, and who to go to. And I think that the more that we create access towards that knowledge and information, it's gonna help us with building more. We have to be forthcoming with the information and not be afraid to share whether the ins and outs of being an executive or even engineer or anything like that. The more that we share amongst each other and we collaborate with one another, the more that we'll have the opportunity to build. And then also, it's another thing is more executives who look like us are in positions of power. One of the head executives is Sarah Bond, is a black woman. One of the executives at Riot Games is a black woman. Like, more and more of us are in these positions in gaming and are utilizing it to help. That's why we just saw Xbox just announce that new opportunity with black youth and helping them get into STEM and gaming. People don't know what they don't know. So we have to continue to let them know and educate them for them to enter in this space. A lot of the conversations that are happening is not just about, oh, what check can you give me? It's now about, you want to use my likeness, you want to use my influence and my culture? Give me that equity.
Right. I want a part of the deal in perpetuity. I don't want it in the short term. I want it in the long term.
Before I signed with a record label, I was independent. So I know like what it's like to be in control of all your music and being able to drop when you want to drop and put whoever you want on your stuff. Again, it's like the resources. You know, the big building, they got the machine to really push your music and put your music in front of everybody. So it's like, you know, at some point you gotta collab and connect with like the upper people, and then, you know, you can venture off kind of like what Kanye did. Yeah. Like he started off with Adidas and then he went to Gap and now he's trying to do it on his own. So it's like you got to get that knowledge and those resources to get to that point.
One of the big ways that we've seen a lot of families in this country make money is through ownership in real estate. Do y'all own different property, you know, stuff like that?
I had really good OGs in the NBA, guys that just taught me buy land, have space, have livestock, different things. So I've been watching that game. You know, I had an OG just told me to buy land, and I just bought a lot that I rent out, use as Airbnbs and different things like that. So I'm still here learning the game, trying to figure it out as well.
I mean, I feel like buying real estate, investing is just something that we all hear and we know it's a good thing. It's just about taking the time and learning it and wanting to invest and do all that. So obviously you need a lot of money to get into it. So it's like once you get to that point, I feel like it's a no-brainer.
I found a little bit of a loophole in your question. I would use stocks and bonds to create generational wealth because you need generational wealth in order to create more of a comfortable environment for us to make proper decisions. If you're constantly in fight or flight mode, you're not going to have the environment to be able to make the best decisions for us and for yourself.
There's three things that I identify with that I know that I love and I do well. I know I love people, I know I love entertainment, and I know I love sports. And I've been able to jump in all of those industries, right? And being able to do that, I went from being on V103 as a radio host. Then I went to HBCUE Sports League, being one of the first African-American females to be a host for HBCUE Sports League. Yeah. To now working for NBA 2K League as the host of the AT&T 5G Game Day show. So it's been a true blessing, and I did all of that by relationships, by building relationships and being authentic to who I am and what I'm good at.
Now, Aaron, I want to keep the energy on you because I know you got an announcement to make. So yes. I want you to have the floor and share your exciting news.
The Black community is vast, it's beautiful, and we have skill sets in all different ways. And more importantly, showing the value of HBCUs. I am excited to announce that McDonald's is coming back to Atlanta later this fall to revamp the Morris Brown College Gaming Center with tech upgrades. This is an investment in the future of Black gaming, and we want to recognize McDonald's for this commitment. So shout out to McDonald's for this. This is super awesome.
I love that. Yo, thank y'all so much for joining me on the panel. Thank y'all so much in the audience for listening and clapping and being engaged. Shout out to Revolt Summit. Shout out to AT&T for supporting us. I love it, y'all.
The Revolt Summit by AT&T is sponsored by Pepsi, Ally, Walmart, and State Farm.
I'm here to network, I'm here to meet people, I'm here to learn some things and see exactly what I could do to further my career and, connections. It's all about meeting new people and doing new things.
We can take Web3 and create our own media and distribution and industries. We no longer have to beg them to treat us right, because now we got the ability to treat ourselves right.
And I just won the REVOLT Summit competition. I'm so thankful. The future is now!
It's insane. The panels were incredible. The discussions were great.
REVOLT Summit, thank you for having me. The future is now.
If I ask you who owns the world today, it's gonna be very hard for you to say somebody that looks like you. If I ask you what's the collective vision of the future, it's gonna be hard for anybody to give me an answer. When I see a black man and I see a black woman, I don't think of a slave back in history. No, I think about the royalty of Mansa Musa, the one who was able to build wealth. I think about John Horse, who was a slave that not only fought for his independence, he fought with America and against America in the Seminole War. I think about Harriet Tubman, one who had the ability not only to free herself, but to go back and free others. I think about Lavateur, who took Haiti to independence. I think about Nanny and the Maroons, who fought a 19-year war to get the independence in Jamaica. We had people like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who had a 3rd grade education, who built a nation within a nation. While we waiting on reparations, the repair starts within. So once you have the knowledge of self, you already repaired, and you should be ready to go do what you're supposed to do. All of this technology and resources at the tip of our fingers. Malcolm X didn't have the ability of social media, but he didn't just fight for civil rights, he fought in the international stage for human rights. See, we are a very powerful, spiritual community of people. It is deep within us. It is in our loins. It is in our DNA. The black woman is the blueprint that birthed it all. You hear that, black man? You know what she waiting on? She waiting on you to stand up. She waiting on you to exact your right in your place to know who you are. See, we acting like lions in the cage. The lion in the cage ain't got the roar as the lion that's free. See, today, everybody talks freedom. But how do you know you free? If somebody controls your mind and your will, then you are a slave. There is no reason that we should be complaining about somebody snatching our masters or our royalties. How are we the culture, but we don't own the culture? How are we the culture if we don't own and control the culture? When you look at the history of America, the first product that they had was your black body. And they use your black body in your hard labor. They use your ingenuity, your intellectual prowess. They use your inventiveness. Not only did they rob you of every single thing that you invented, they took credit for it. But then they learned how to leverage this Native American and this African that we got under our control. Today, we having the same complaints. The difference is we have less restraints. Those who know me, they know I'm only about high-level conversations. I don't have no low-level conversations. I don't let people drag me down to their low vibrations. Because if I proclaim that I am who I say I am, then that means that I need to execute upon the words, and my words need to be connected to the bond of who I am. See, I'm gonna tell y'all a story. There was a story of the first procrastinator in history. Y'all ever heard this story? That's because I made it up. The first procrastinator in history, he was working somewhere in Egypt. They was working on some bricks, building some pyramids. One bro was like, how about we do this later? He said, later? What's later? He said, well, it's a time where we ain't got to do it right now. He said, well, with it. He started this DNA. Well, we started looking for excuses to not do the work right now. See, we used to be a be and it is people. Anything we say, we got done. Now, we a be and maybe later people. See, the procrastination is the abortion clinic of ideas. But when you are proactive, you're giving birth to that which is inside you. We only get so much time on this earth. We only have so many breaths until we breathe our last one. The question is, what are you doing on God's time? It don't take 21 days to create a habit. It's the day you start and the day you don't quit. But it's the quality of your mind. If you don't know how to utilize the womb of your mind to bring incredible ideas that are fostering in your imagination and bring them into reality, then you're a worthless people. But I don't see worthlessness when I'm here. I see a creative community, a spiritual community, a beautiful community, those who are struck with the most beautiful polished skin of melanin that can absorb energy and take that energy and take any thought and match the frequency and live that reality. Did you ask yourself, why did you show up here? What was the reason and the purpose? Because if we're talking about a revolt, we have to be opposing something. So now it is about creating a new culture, a technologically advanced people, a scientifically advanced people, one who are the owners and controllers of every single thing they do. We own land, we own gold, we own crypto, we own all our real estate, we own our name, our intellectual property, our family name has meaning. When you say your name, when you walk in a room, it shouldn't just be, yo, I'm Jones, so-and-so. No, it should spark respect. Oh, I know your family. I know what they stand for. I know about the wealth they built. We should all have trust so that we can properly pass down all the wealth that we obtain. The theme of this is the future is now. So as I name these ancestors, everything that they wanted to do, you are the generation to produce it. There is a power within each one of you all. But we cannot use that power against each other. We cannot have a death culture where we kill each other, where our greatest musicians are fearful of us because when we show trinkets of our success, somebody wants to take it from you. But you also have to be the type of person that climbs up on the ladder and reaches down and grabs someone else and bring them to that higher level. This is the future that we building. Black Wall Street showed us what it was like when the black dollar circulates. We can't be afraid to build it up again because Black Wall Street is you. Every black dollar that you circulate, that's Black Wall Street. They ain't burning it down. When we now have the ability to build our own banking system, we can take Web3 and create our own media and distribution and industries. We no longer have to beg them to treat us right because now, damn it, we got the ability to treat ourselves right. And when somebody asks you what the future is, it is now, it is you, it is us, and it is us getting our power, freedom, justice, equality, and equity, and giving ourselves reparations. I'm 19 Keys, this your high-level conversation.
The world is consistently changing in real time. So remember to always stay inspired, always shoot your shot, and always ask for what you want. Never stop connecting with people because your network is your net worth. Ask questions and always stay curious.
Until we return to the ATL, bigger and better next year, don't forget that the future is now.